Greetings everyone, welcome to my sketchbook. It's getting a little late in the morning again. Well, it's going to be afternoon by the time I get this uploaded. My mornings have been kind of busy the last little while, not that that's a real deal excuse. And when you watch this, has really nothing to do with when I load videos anyway. Here's the magic. Not that I believe in magic. I'm just going to do a drawing, kind of doodle, sketch, scribble, and see what happens. So I'm going to kind of bring this down one level, maybe, just like that. Okay. I like to draw strange pictures every so often. Oh. Not sure where this will go. Something about that almost looks like a little clown face. Let's zoom in on that a little bit more. Can I get actually further with that? Okay. So that's like really kind of small. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. I don't know if it will. Whoa. Okay. Find a way to get the ink going again. Let's try dipping the pen. Okay. I find myself trying to figure out where things are, where they should be when I doodle. Now, we got some pockets going on here, some pockets there, not too complicated. Wearing kind of like a smock maybe. But I like to focus on some of the background characters every so often. Here we have someone who's perhaps confused about something. Let's give them shorts too. Some part of that kind of looks like Tintin. Not my intention, but that's kind of where it kind of ended up looking. I'm going to go with some small pockets there too. Let's back this out just a little bit if we can. Go out a little bit more. Okay. Get fun little knobby knees, some socks, cool little shoes. It's like that. Okay. Now, just trying to think of stuff. Now we're going to back this out again, because we're going further back, away from this principal character. All right. We have kind of like uneven surface going on just behind whoever this is. And back here, kind of just a face maybe in slumber. underside of the lip. Bit of a chin, maybe. Bit of a jawline. What can be done with this image now? Those ears are pretty dramatic. Kind of work some of this detail around a little bit. You ever wonder about giants? Now, I know people that are fairly tall, and I'm sure at some point during their growth, they caught on that they were tall and maybe stronger, or so in a lot of ways you become aware of your body. I'm not very tall myself. I'm 5'11", which is tall enough, I suppose, but not really tall. But sometimes there's an awkwardness that some people have during those growths. Were there giants like this? Is it reasonable to think that there may have been, if this is a regular sized person back here, that there were humanoid like beings this size? I've talked about that many times on this channel before, about the possibility of fantastic things possibly having a real sort of origin. Kind of makes me wonder about that stuff. We've all heard those stories of David and Goliath. That's an extraordinary story, by the way. We are told that David was a shepherd, and already had some renown for, fighting wild beasts. And as far as characters, biblical characters go, he's beloved, and he's probably one of the biggest dirtbags. He's probably one of the biggest dirtbags. I think he had a lot of regret in his life. I think he wasn't always a great dad. He wasn't always a great friend. He loved music, and he tried his very best to do the will of God to some degree, except for he kind of did his own thing a lot, and there was a lot of bony fingers getting pointed at him for doing terrible things. He did a lot of terrible things. I mean, I talked about him not being a good friend. The way he treated his good friend Uriah, for example, uh, that's appalling. It's appalling. Um, yeah, King David was a dirtbag. There's not many biblical characters, uh, in their purely human uh, forms who are not really dirtbags. I think a lot of human beings are not really great all the time. I'm not really great all the time. Um, Daniel, there's not really anything wrong, negative written about Daniel. But I mean, consider who Daniel was. There's almost something almost pleasant about the sleeping giant's face. I wonder if I can kind of do something about this. Let's go with bushier eyebrows. Let's try to bring them down a little bit. Which kind of brings me to another thing that just popped into my head. Bullies. I think a lot of us like stories about the underdog. And what we got going on here? I have this really askew. I think I need to bring this eye down a little bit here. I'll have to do some trickery, I think. Yeah, underdogs. The stories that we like generally have happy endings, where the one who gets bullied gets their chance to shine or redeem themselves. There are a lot of stories that don't end that way, like in real life. So I think, during trying times, we want uplifting stories. Because most often, real life doesn't allow the underdog to win. Now, I'm not trying to be negative with this. I'm just saying that I think that's why we like underdog stories. Because the underdog doesn't always win. So what's that have to do with King David and giants? I have no idea. I was just started playing around with just a picture in my head and getting it out on paper. Let's go with longer hair. There. I wonder if there's some other fun little details that I can add to this person here. We put in some little glasses. I want this side to be kind of a little bit darker, as if there's like a light source coming in that way. bit darker on this side rather than that side. I kind of do that a lot when I'm looking for doodling. I will kind of often have a light source coming from my top right, just because I'm right-handed maybe. No idea why I do that. It's kind of fun though. Right here, well, I don't know if I need to go lots and lots further with this. But if you can, I know that a few people watch these videos. Leave a comment of one of your favorite stories of somebody standing up to a giant of some kind. So that could be, well, David and Goliath, or that could be Aaron Brockovich, or whomever. When a person does that. Now, I like happy stories too, so, you know, feel free to put that in there. That hairline's a little bit much, so let's put in some flowy lines here. Okay. I think that's it. Let's add something else. We're going to pretend that this person is posing for a picture. Okay. Just for fun, I can throw a little bit of water on that because that's still kind of fun for me to do. The opportunity to ruin pictures. Before I do that, though, I'm going to put a couple little sparks of shadow by the feet. For when I drag that out with a brush and water, it'll smudge a little bit more the way that I want. So I want to have something to kind of get in there to do that. This child does not necessarily want to have their picture taken with this slumbering, modernish looking giant. I don't know if I want to have this giant stay modern-ish. This is the time to get into this if I need to, for my doodle's sake. That nose should cast a bit of a shadow. A little bit in here. A little bit over here. perhaps it's a person in slumber, and while you're asleep, that's when the little guest appears, perhaps during REM sleep. Your rapid eye movements will let them know that you're not easily woken up, so they can be this bold. Let's darken in those eyelashes just a little bit. Perhaps a little bit in the eyebrows here. I was going to put down the pen and brush a little bit ago. Shame on me for not just letting that happen. All right. Now I will let it go. Add a couple little lines here. If I can get a bit more ink on that. So as I said, let me know about some of your favorite stories where somebody takes care or battles a bully and wins or loses or what have you. Those stories are important, though. They're more important for some more so than others. Those with power generally don't like to be where the greatest risk is, because they're under the impression that they're needed for making sure that everything's going to be all right once the dust settles. So, you know, they're highly valued. So they would think. I'm not going to ramble on too much about that. All right. I think that's going to be it. I think nearly 25 minutes is enough. So, look, thanks for hanging out. Yeah, come back again. See if we can do some other silly things. All right. Ciao for now.